to be like a troll account, like a trolling and educational account. Andrew's not fit.
Yeah, you're already set up.
It's just a not fitness account. We're just trolling the industry.
Yeah, you're set up to troll everybody, bro. These people need trolling.
Yeah, bro, everybody's too serious. Everybody's way too serious about their grind mentality, about their fucking I'm gonna be up at 4 a.m. I'm out working everybody. Like, dude, everybody's working out hard. Let's be real. If you've got a nice body, if you're doing heavy weight, like you didn't just get there magically. Nobody needs to really like get it thrown in their face so you're working hard.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I mean, I'm just blown away by how 90% of people who are training clients are training them and injury is just waiting to happen.
Yeah, man. I mean,
But
like think about it, bro. Like how many times have you heard a coach be like, fix your foot?
never. Bro, and I'm included, but at least my eyes are, or at least I'm awakened now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, bro, like think about it. We all had to learn. Like there's some people who are like say like that's useless, that's stupid. How am I gonna build muscle if I'm thinking about my feet? You know what I mean?
Yep. But then you gotta think about the strength that you're building. Can you use it? Is your 700-pound deadlift making you faster? Probably not, to be honest. You get to a certain point and it's diminishing returns. I mean, speaking from experience, it's hard to turn away when you're invested both time and financially into your style of training. But is your style of training really helping people, or is it making them worse? It's things you got to study and think about.
But I mean, the way that I think about it is that a step back needs to be taken in order to take a step forward.
Yeah,
So it doesn't necessarily mean that you putting all that financial interest into training heavy and into reaching certain heights was useless. It just means that certain things need to change in order to, one, alter the training a little bit and figure out how that can still fit while
right,
being mechanically sound.
right. Because it can,
Absolutely.
and especially if you enjoy it, like it's almost like we were talking about the concepts, like your concept of how you program, and then like Weck's concept of like the 4-to-1 rotational to bilateral. It's like you could apply a concept like that if you still want to do ridiculously heavy kettlebell swings or sandbags to shoulders and things like this, back squat, powerlifting. You just need to optimize some other aspects of movement.
Well, you know who I think is the perfect example of that? Chamberlain.
Right. It's true. It's true.
But
I
he's doing
wonder.
the 64-pound kettlebell swings pretty often.
Yeah, I mean, and they're all about biomechanics. So I'm sure his, foot ankle is optimized. I have to study his movement to really see. I'm sure you've studied his movement. Is his like foot, ankle, knee, hip, shoulder, it's all perfect, right? Okay, wow.
It's pretty spot on. He'll even keep a pretty close stance while doing those 364-pound swings.
Yeah, just enough space to send the bell through.
Hmm.
Yeah. But when you start really thinking about it though, it's like now not everybody is an athlete. Not everybody's an athlete, but everybody should be able to run. Like it's like the birthright, to go and move through space. So like a lot of these movements are not teaching you to move through space well. Like let's just take a kettlebell swing, my favorite, movement. Sitting the hips through, bringing the chest up and back. Like, is that making you a better sprinter? I don't know. I don't think maybe not, you
Well,
know?
I do think there's ways. So I do think there's ways for it to work with sprinting because okay, here we go for a little science lesson for y'all. Um, every movement is a rotational movement. So if you can learn to, when you're on the downswing, open up the knees by rotating the ankle and hip, and then as you're coming up, you rotate it in. So you're rotating it out and in with each part of the swing. You are teaching yourself a better gait pattern. So when we overcomplicate an exercise, it goes back to the topic of overcomplicating versus making it simple. Now, what's your goal? Is your goal to be amazing? Is your goal to be general fitness? Is your goal to just lose some weight? Is your goal to just move around? You get what I mean? If your goal is to be really, really, really good at everything, those are the little things that you can pay attention to because you're already going to be in the gym. You get what I mean? That's what I was telling you when you were in Miami, is that you're already going to be working out no matter what. You like this stuff. So that's why I feel comfortable making you think about these little adjustments and making you question the way you're doing each little movement because you're going to be doing it anyway.
Right.
You're spending a lot of time already doing it. So it's like, why not try to optimize it completely?
But you know what? Somebody who is just working out to lose a little weight or general fitness, because and it's another, just to go off topic, but it's a good thing that we're able to speak about both. Because some people are so locked into general or so locked into athletes that you start speaking to, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's good to speak to one, crowd. But anyways, if you are working with somebody that just wants to lose weight or general fitness, you don't really want to indoctrinate them into one specific form of movement, especially if the biomechanics are not optimized. When you look at like foot, ankle, knee,
Well,
hip,
that's
shoulder,
where the simple cues come into play, where it's toes point to the heel faces out.
But what
Little
I'm saying is a lot of these people are not even doing that at all. You look at majority of the industry, like let's just look, like not to call out the industry, but like look at the kettlebell type community or like the Bellfest type community. We were just talking about that. Like all their movement is like terrible when you look at foot ankle. And that's how they train all their clients. And so now their clients are just it's just prone to injury. You're just waiting for injury to happen. Unless they can add in some of that biomechanical efficiency.
So then it's like the thing that Weck was saying. Every step is a rep.
Right.
You're stepping wrong every step. That's essentially creating that compression over time because if we just look at it from
It's
from
true.
a purely anatomical, purely biomechanical standpoint, walking should be a massage on the fascia. It should be. Now that's if we're moving optimally. That's well, optimally, because you know what I mean. Everybody's got their techniques, everybody's got their thing, but there is a way to optimize those movements. And if you're walking in a specific way where you're getting that front side coil each time, you're getting that ankle to shin to knee, knee to hip, and hip internally rotated, then you are going to have that ability to decompress the body as you're moving. So it's like are they doing a disservice? No, because they don't necessarily know. As a coach, I think it's personally, I don't think like this is going to be a hot topic, but I think coaches should be studying every single aspect of fitness before they start taking on clients because in my opinion it's an irresponsibility. And I can say that because I'm going to be real with you. I spent so much time studying this stuff. It's like
Right.
I I think it's irresponsible that you're going to be teaching somebody when you don't even know a 22.5 degree principle.
Yeah.
I think that's
100%.
irresponsible. And like I know trainers at my gym that are so knowledgeable that you could tell them anything and they know it immediately. Like I joke around sometimes where I'm at the gym and I'm just like 22.5, 22.5. And like some of the trainers will start laughing because they know exactly what I'm talking about.
Right.
But then there's other trainers in the gym who are top level. You tell them GOTA, you tell them WEC method, they're like, "What's that?
Never heard of
What's
it.
that? Never heard of it."
And other
You
people
tell them,
who never heard of that stuff too is people who are studying it in college.
right.
They don't teach that stuff in college. I was just talking to a guy today who's studying kinesiology. I was talking to him about WEC and GOTA, and he was like, I've never heard of either of those. I was talking to him about human locomotion and anatomy trains. He's never heard of those things. And
And it's not even,
to build off what you're saying is if you are, because I mean, let's be honest, right? Majority of people haven't heard of those things. It's growing. So if you, because the old ways, I mean, that didn't exist. I don't know when this stuff started, but that stuff didn't. I mean, it existed in the not like the world, but that principle, that certification, that education wasn't there. So if you are a trainer and you're hearing about this stuff for the first time, it's your responsibility to dive in and to learn. Because if you're not going to take that step, then you're doing a disservice and you know it, and you're hurting your clients. And once you start to study, even if you just see a little something on Instagram, you start to realize you're like, okay, wow, every single one of my clients' ankle is collapsing and all that pressure is going into the knee. And now their knees are hurt. Now their back hurts. Now their shoulder hurts. And if you know that and you're not going to go out there and study it, that's a big problem.
100%, man. And look, I get that this, like, if you look at David Weck, how many followers does he has? 164,000. And that's not that many. That's not that many in terms of in a relative term.
Yeah,
Like
let's
I
look
know
up.
either,
Yeah,
I
keep
think
going.
he has
No, no,
160K.
no. I'm going to look up something, but yeah, keep going.
So like think about that. 164,000 for in I'd say in my opinion the world's leading expert in locomotion.
Yeah.
So then you look at someone like Dr. Joel Siedemann. He's got like 300,000, I think, 300,000 followers. And again, his stuff, the 90-degree principle, while it may sound kind of crazy, there's a lot of merit to it because you look at every single one of his clients' feet position, every single one of his clients' joint positions, it's perfect.
Yeah, it's optimized. So look at this.
Like perfect.
As of 2023, there were 1,142,849 personal trainers in the United States. It's a lot of people to not know about optimizing their movement.
And a lot of people that discredit it.
Yeah, exactly. Like exactly. Exactly. That will talk down on it, but have never studied it.
And it's
And a
like
lot of the big names too, like a lot of the big names, and like we're not telling you that you have to use a Bosu ball to like train your athletes, but don't talk down on the Bosu ball before you understand the full principle of it, or don't talk down on the propulsors before you understand what it's actually doing before you study it, and don't talk down about GOTA and how it's not going to get you super strong if you have never studied it.
and now here's where things become interesting because there's a trainer at my gym who I'd say he's the most knowledgeable person in the fitness. When it comes to fitness, this guy knows it. He's done all of it and he's studied all of it. I'm gonna name drop. His name is Brendan, and he says that Goda isn't the GOAT. And I completely understand why he would say that. Because here's the thing, he's so knowledgeable about everything in the fitness industry that he has the ability to be like, okay, I could take some things from Goda, I could
Mhm.
take some things from WEC, I could take some things from powerlifting, I could take some things from Olympic lifting, I could take some things from this. So when he says Goda is not the GOAT, that's not discrediting Goda. That's discrediting their, how would I say it? They also follow a dogmatic approach,
Right?
I
They're
would say.
all in type mentality, like all or nothing mentality.
It's like if you're not hinging when you're squatting, if you're putting weight on yourself, if you're doing these regular movements, you're destroying your biomechanics. But it's like, what if you do all of their principles? What if you follow other principles and you're able to have that efficient biomechanics while lifting weights?
Right.
What happens
Well,
then?
I was gonna cut you off before you told the story, but I was gonna say if you are going to do that and discredit or go against the grain, right? At least be able to articulate yourself and say why you're making that decision or why you're saying what you're saying. Because if you're just going against the grain or you're just disagreeing because of some conclusion that you made in your head, you're like, oh, that's stupid, but you can't articulate why. Well, that's not good. That's not a good sign.
Right. And that's why I have so much respect for this guy. And I tell
Right.
him all the time, like him and I have amazing conversations constantly. And he doesn't agree with, for example, he doesn't agree with Dr. Joel Seedman, but then he'll say that there's a lot of merit to some of the stuff he says. It's just his only thing is you can't be full in on one side of fitness, especially if you're training a client, especially if you're engaged in it yourself. Like this dude is doing a Zercher squat with 365 and he could do a split.
The trainer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a strong dude, extremely mobile, extremely knowledgeable. More so than anything, his knowledge is what impresses me. So
Yeah.
it's the type of things that I don't agree with in the fitness industry is that a lot of people will discredit without knowing or
Right.
without applying.
Right. Yeah, or just even, like you said, without ever studying it. You have to learn it to be able to say that it's not effective or that you don't like it or whatever your reasoning is. You have to at least give it the chance, bro. And that's where I'm at. Like when I started learning about this stuff over the weekend at the outside the box conference, bro, I'm all in. My brain is like going in, so because I mean, and we'll get into it, like all the different people and all the different techniques, right? But dude, I just want to dive all in on everything that was new to me and just learn everything I can about it.
That way you become a better athlete, you become a better trainer, and you can make decisions for yourself if you like something or you don't like something. Like we're young.
Real quick, right? Because I met with somebody when I got back over the weekend, right? A trainer. I mean, that part of the story I could have left out, right? But if you're a trainer and you're not continuing your education, it's a big problem. It's a big problem. You're doing a big disservice, right? Like, I mean, there's people they watch like one freaking like Louis Simmons podcast and then call themselves an expert in like in building athletes. It's a shame. You should be continuing your education, whether it's books, conferences, podcasts, anything you can do. Like you have to be so obsessed with this to if you're gonna be working with people and you could be the determining factor as to if they get injured or if they succeed and increase their longevity. You have to be bought in all the way, not to a certain system, but to continuing your education to learn. If you're not continuing your education, you're doing your clients a disservice.
Well, that goes into the topic of people treating their jobs as just a job and not their life. Because
Yeah.
think about the amount of people that just look at like there's trainers who don't care about training. Like you could see it in their physiques, you could see it in the way they're training. They're there to get a paycheck and go on with whatever their actual passion is. So it begs the question, well, not even the question, but it's the statement that in today's society, there's so many people who aren't pursuing their passion. They're not pursuing what they actually care about, and it shows. And
Hmm.
it really shows. And the problem is that a lot of these people are teachers and they're trainers or both, and they're not relaying information that's going to progress society.
Yeah, I mean, how much value are you going to get out of like bro, everybody knows everybody knows the basic stuff, but it's the fine details that are going to separate you. Anybody can go out there and give their clients 3 sets of 10 on various different exercises, machines, bicep, squat, deadlift. Like anybody can do that. But are you studying the fine details and are you willing to learn and go that extra mile, you know?
And I think one of the biggest controversies is the bodybuilding community. You get one guy who trains one person and that person has amazing genetics, but then all of a sudden they're an expert. And then they charge
Yeah.
these extremely high ticket services. And one, I get that bodybuilding is a sport, but there's so many ways to optimize bodybuilding where you can be an amazing bodybuilder and have great mechanics. It's just a lot of these coaches, they're completely discrediting anything that doesn't involve hypertrophy.
But those are the same people that are not continuing their education. I mean, you could read one single book if it's the right book, and there's hundreds, thousands probably. Who knows how many there are? You could read one decent book about athletic training, training athletes, and you'll never look at that split the same ever again.
Right, but I mean, again, like it's all practical. It's all practical in what you're trying to do. So it's like even if you're a bodybuilder, if we're just going to talk about the basic principle of keeping your athlete or your client healthy, there's little things you can add in, little things you could sprinkle in order to make sure they're still getting that hypertrophy, that maximum hypertrophy while maintaining their biomechanics, while maintaining mobility, while maintaining like there's this guy named Andrew Jacked. This guy is a phenom, absolute phenom. He weighs probably, I think he weighs like 350 pounds. Don't quote me on that. But this guy could do splits. This
Yeah.
guy can, and what is that attributed to? Having a big knowledge base and allowing himself to take certain steps back in order to maintain his and to like have longevity. Think about the amount of bodybuilders that if they reach their arm back like this, they can't
Yeah, they can't.
do that or they can't lift their arm up. And it's like you got the regular Joe. Sorry to any Joes out there. You got the regular Joe who's majority of people who are going to the gym, they're like trying to like lift all these weights and they can't even lift their arm up over their head. So it's like, what's the point of what you're doing? Even if you're not trying to be a bodybuilder, even if you're not trying to do all this, so what's the point of doing any of those movements if you can't do regular human functions?
Yeah. And to speak to, I mean, anyone, the trainer or the client, I mean, really don't idolize anybody, but you got to be careful who you guys are looking up to, because if you see somebody doing something, you're like, wow, I want to be able to do that. And then you go and you get hurt, it's your fault.
I mean, look, there's a great example in Sebum. Sebum is a great example. This guy, if you look at his content, you look at his progression over the years, what has this guy done? Maintained mobility, maintained athleticism. Now, yes, we can make the argument that this guy was an athlete his whole life. That stuff doesn't leave you. It's the developmental years that matter more than the day to day. So what he did during his youth, it carries over into now. But you can't discredit all the mobility work he's done. You can't discredit his range of motion when he lifts. You can't discredit any of that. And then you look at him do a standing jump, and he's not elite. Like, I mean, he jumped, what was it, like 29 inches? That's not elite, but that's good for a guy his size.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. Yeah, I mean, take majority of the straight bodybuilders who that's their actual sport and see how high they can jump. Probably not, 30 inches.
Yeah, I mean, look, so going into our first real topic, because that was just a whole bunch of ranting and getting it out of our systems.
Yeah, which
So
we're
our
still going to
first
continue to rant throughout these topics. You just wait.
yeah, so I mean, first topic is Brett and I. We hung out 2 weekends in a row where we were in Gymshark, Miami. We went to a Gymshark event in Miami, and then we went to Outside of the Box in Melbourne, Florida. First thoughts on Gymshark, Miami is there's a lot of sheep.
Yeah, yeah,
There's a
yeah. And
lot
at
of
the and
sheep,
at the outside the box, there's a lot of leaders. You know what I mean?
thought
Thought
leaders,
leaders
and
versus sheep.
people that just one, they've taken their entire life and dedicated it towards learning.
Right.
And
Their
then
whole
at
life.
the Shark Miami, it was a lot of egos, a lot of people doing the exact same things, everybody trying to show out to each other, everybody trying to, and look, we were among that crowd trying to show out, but we weren't doing anything. We were standing out. The reason why it got to us a little bit is because, look, man, I'm not gonna lie. When everybody's eyes were on us, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, of course. Of course. But if you're an elite trainer, the eyes are on you anyways. Like look at the people who are outside the box. Look how many eyes were on them. You see what I mean? Just different
Right.
eyes for different reasons.
And the
But
thing is, it
I
made
mean
me
we could talk about why those eyes were on us and why everybody was taking videos of us and not, the big influencers who were there and who have because they've seen it a million times, you know what I mean? But these people have never seen the movement that we were doing.
and we weren't doing anything crazy. Like, people in our industry are doing things
Right.
way crazier than what we were doing. We weren't even going to our max on any of it.
No, just
We
having
weren't
fun.
doing- yeah, we were just having fun. And the thing is, a simple movement like a bent press was so out of this world.
Oh my gosh, there was like circles of like video cameras out, like, you know what I mean?
And then walking
Because they
right
can't move
next,
their bodies in that way.
right. And walking right next to us were dudes with millions of followers staring at us too, and being like, "You guys are beasts. You guys are so different, man. I don't think I could do that." It's like, bro, take 1 month,
Right.
1 month of like expanding your training, and believe me, this is not that impressive. We taught like 3 people how to do a bent press that day.
Shoot, more than that. More than that. We taught people kettlebell flip. The kettlebell flips and whatnot is like that's on a whole other level too. Like people have definitely never seen that.
I mean, look, we taught a whole group of girls how to do
How to do
kettlebell
the
flipping.
kettlebell flips and whatnot.
And believe it or not, it's like I tell everybody, something is hard until you do it.
Right.
Something is hard when you see it, but then as soon as you do it, it's not that hard. And it's like we had these girls who have never trained functionally in their life. It's safe to say that. They were flipping kettlebells that day. And so it's super it looks daunting until you try it. So that's one of the things that really stood out to me at the Gymshark event was just, and I knew this, but being there was a real eye opener.
Mm.
Being there was a real eye opener because neither one of us thought, like, we both went in there and we're like, oh, okay, there's gonna be all these people, whatever. We didn't know it was a gym. I didn't know it was gonna be a gym.
Yeah, I didn't know. Yeah, I had no idea what I was going into. I had no idea what to expect going there.
Yeah, and truly me either. I look, I thought we were gonna be going to this event and it was just gonna be us meeting people, talking to people.
Right.
But then we pulled up with our kettlebells, I mean, just in case, you know?
Yeah.
And, and we're just flipping our bells, and all of a sudden there's a crowd around us.
Hmm.
There's a crowd around us, and people are like making space for us. Like that surprised me. That surprised me, where people were like making space for us and like asking us how we do it, like asking us all these questions. Like genuinely, I didn't think people would have that level of interest. And that just shows you that like these people that are so invested, so bought into this one style of lifting where they're just copying each other else, they're doing this, they're doing that. Every single day is so like so rigid.
Yeah.
And then you come in, these 2 guys come in and they're just having fun. They're like, what in the world?
Yeah, I mean, how many of those people do you think are burnt out on their training? Probably a lot.
Most of them, like, and how much you want to bet that most of them are only doing it to get a couple thousand, 100,000 followers, and like
And a lot of them are probably in pain too.
100%. So it's like how do you spread that message? Well, one, you live it. You live it. And the more you live it, the more it's not about getting eyes on you either. Because that's not my goal when I go to the gym. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna be doing this weird movement. I hope everybody's looking at me. No, it's more so like I'm doing what I enjoy the most and I'm doing what makes me feel good. So it's like if someone comes up to me to the gym and starts asking me about it, which this happens a lot, I'm so happy to explain it to them. I'm so happy to introduce them. You get what I mean? I'm so happy to because it's like this made me enjoy working out again.
Right.
Let me introduce it to you.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, if you're so stuck in, I mean, let's just because the Gymshark was a bodybuilding event, right? So essentially, I mean, I don't know any everybody there was doing bodybuilding. So if you're so stuck in bodybuilding and you know, like, I mean, if you talk to people, like they'll tell you, like, especially after they've been doing it for a few years, they're like, yeah, like I'm stiff, I'm sore, like I can't really move well, I can't, you know, lift my arm up. I don't know, man. Just experiment. Just find some other stuff and try it. You see what I mean? Because it's interesting. You know, you can't worry about what someone's gonna think because you know at first it may look goofy. You probably are gonna feel very goofy trying something new, but eventually it's gonna come and then you're gonna be that guy. You know that people are surrounding, or if that's not your goal, you're just gonna feel better. You're gonna move better just by opening your mind a little bit.
100%, man. And I think one of the things that really it motivated me that weekend because then we're gonna get into the topic of outside of the box. But one of the things that really motivated me about Gymshark Miami was we were having fun. We were having so much fun, and people were digging it, man. People were digging it. People were digging it. People weren't judging it. People were completely just like, man, I wish I could do that. And it's like, bro, if only you knew how easy it is
Right.
and how, well, forget about easy because nothing, okay, nothing is easy. Like, not us doing the flips we were doing, us doing the stuff we were doing, that came with practice.
Yeah, I mean,
But
like, yeah, it's doable. You see what I mean?
right,
All you
right.
gotta do is
Practice,
practice.
practice is easy. Like, let's be real.
Right.
It's so easy to do something one day and another day and another day. It's like you're gonna do every single day, you're gonna do something. Habits, you're either gonna have good habits or bad habits. That's what I preach to people. You're gonna have like your habits are habitual. It's not
Yeah.
like
If you can just honestly do an assessment of yourself, you know, like just take account of how you feel, how you're moving, like what you've been doing, and just do a full assessment and see. You'll probably notice that changes need to be made, you know. You can't be like we were talking about earlier, indoctrinated into one system because it's doing you a disservice. It's doing you a disservice. Now, if you're like a bodybuilder or you're a power lifter or you're a you know, I'm trying to think of some others. Really, those are the main two where the movement is not really optimized. Then that's one thing. But if that's the system that you're following because that's all you know and you've never opened your brain or done an assessment of yourself and your movement, you know, it's time to do that. You gotta open up. You gotta open up your brain and stop thinking one thing is the only thing.
and again, this isn't to say that everybody should be kettlebell flipping, everybody should be bent pressing. This is more so to say if something is interesting to you, find it. Don't just be like, that's so cool, and then never think about it again. Or in the other way, you say, that's so dumb. Why the hell are they doing that?
Right.
Learn a little bit about it. Learn a little bit about it, see exactly what it is, and then be like, okay, maybe it's not as dumb as I thought, or okay, yeah, it's actually as dumb as I thought.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually really stupid.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, kettlebell flipping, bro, that's dumb.
Yeah, that's we're never doing that again. But if you suck, I mean, you might, you know, you'll suck for a little bit.
I mean, everybody's gonna suck. Like,
I think
look,
that that is one of those things too, like kettlebell flipping, like juggling specifically. It's like an activity, you know, more than like a workout program. But it's an activity that's going to keep you in shape. You know what I mean? Like it's a
I mean,
fun thing
bro,
to do. Like if you enjoy it, then you know, do it, and it's going to have some good benefit.
and like, how many times have you gone out to the grass and just flipped for hours?
Yeah, for sure. And it's like it because like we were talking about at the beginning, like we're kind of speaking to two different people. Like we're almost in like the athletic development sports performance, and then we're a little bit in the general fitness, which is kind of what we're talking about right now. But it's like if you're in that general fitness department, like flipping a kettlebell maybe is not going to make you an elite basketball player. You know what I mean? But if you're general, just getting in shape and it looks cool, try it, man.
Actually, I'm gonna fight you on that. I'm gonna fight
Okay.
you on that. I think kettlebell juggling is amazing for athletes. And
I mean,
why?
there's some, like proprioceptive qualities to it, but at the end of the day, if they're dribbling the basketball, that's going to be the best thing.
Oh, of course. But I mean, like, if we're gonna gamify working out, because think about how many basketball players. I'm gonna talk about specifically basketball players. How many of them hate working out? Majority. So like, if you could teach someone kettlebell juggling, then that all of a sudden creates an awareness of the body and can make them better in space. Now, that's not to say train your athletes with kettlebell juggling, because again, you do have to have a certain base in order to teach someone kettlebell juggling. But for athletes in general, it's a good pastime. It's a good pastime. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a training modality, which it could be. It could be treated as a training modality, but it's more so a pastime.
Dude, I really want to get into this outside the box conference with all these sports performance legends because the kettlebell juggling and the heavy kettlebell, the heavy just all the stuff that community that we're a part of does. It's almost like upsetting me. It's almost like letting me down that I've went very far down that route because there's so much out there that's significantly more efficient.
But then again, bro, think about your age and think about you realizing this at a pivotal age.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you when I realized the stuff, I'll tell you when I realized the
And just
stuff that
real
they were
quick,
talking about.
real quick, if you enjoy if you enjoy the training that you're doing and you want to get better at that, then great. Get better at it. Buy the 450 pound kettlebell. But if your goal is sports performance, you you can't be indoctrinated by one crowd of people. You see what I mean? Because at the end of the day, they're not building athletes like you're trying to do. And by you,
Fair.
I'm talking about myself. But there's someone out there that could relate. But
Yeah, and I mean, look, like in the end of the day, bro, like I said, like you're still very young. I'm still very young. We're at a point where we really enjoy the working out. Like we
yeah,
enjoy the stuff.
yeah.
Like
And
it's
to
not
cut you to
like
cut you off again, bro, like you just said, we're both very young. You know, we're about the same age in our 20s. And we're so far ahead of our time. We're so far ahead of our time. You see what I mean? Like these coaches that we were learning from at outside the box are in their what? I mean, 40s, 50s, 60s. They've been doing
60s.
this. Yeah, 60. Yeah. I mean, they've been doing this for, yeah, multiple people are in their 60s. They've been doing this for 30, 40 years. And we have the same knowledge, or at least we're gaining that same knowledge that they have. So, I mean, where are we going to be after 30, 40 years of experience in our own bodies and also in the athletes that we're producing?
And it's that's not like let me clarify. Brett is not being cocky by saying that. He's being 100% true because like what's the reality is that people spend their whole life not allowing anything else to penetrate. We're
Indoctrinated
letting yeah, we're letting everything come in. We are letting everything
everything.
come in and whatever sticks, sticks.
And
Like
like,
I
bro, like
guarantee
you can talk like me and Andrew had some calls outside of this podcast, but I mean, I'll go into it right now. I was so upset and like I'm not gonna get rid of any of my equipment. Like I'm not gonna get rid of any of my equipment, but I was so upset by how financially invested I've become all this equipment that I have. And it's not producing the best version of myself or my athletes. It can. I can use it in a better, you see what I mean? And also like if you enjoy it, you can use it, that whole thing. But it's just I don't know. But to your point is I allowed this information to come in and I'm not going to let my ego stop me from learning and applying new things. Whether I'm going to use the stuff that I've been buying consistently anymore or not, time will tell, but it is what it is. I'm going to learn and I'm going to do the best thing the best job I can to develop my clients and myself.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's just taking one step back in order to take 10 steps forward. You taking a step back to focus less on the weights and focus more on your mechanics isn't going to mean that you're never touching that 450-pound kettlebell. That just means that it's not going to be as soon as you get it.
Yeah, it
And it's
is.
not going to be it's
It
not
is a
going to be
point
like
of
the
pride. It's
way.
a point of pride. It's an ego thing, you know, because I've been so invested in this one modality, but it is what it is, man. It is what it is.
I mean, look, bro, we all learn day by day. And that's the beauty of it. The beauty of it is that we're learning day by day. And then think about, okay, I'm gonna give you a nugget.
Well, and real quick before that nugget, like don't be fooled either. Like this stuff is still far more efficient in my opinion because it's an absolute strength modality, and you still have to build absolute strength. And with the pieces of equipment that I have, I believe that they're more efficient at building absolute strength than what has been known. You see what I mean? Like then the barbell, then the machines, then the dumbbell. I think that the kettlebell, sandbag, mace, club, landmine is still the most efficient tool at developing absolute strength. Is it the best tool at developing a well-rounded athlete? No. But when that athlete needs to develop some absolute strength, I do have those pieces of equipment that I can use. But absolute strength is not the key to your athletic ability or your movement optimization longevity.
It significantly helps though.
Right.
It significantly helps. So like that's like all this to say is that we know people who are all into this movement optimization that are moving some crazy weight,
Yeah.
And the thing is, they're able to maintain their level of movement despite, and it's not even despite, it's with all of it. So that's why I'm not against any of the strength training. I'm not against any of it because I believe all there's merit in all of it, but it's just having the discipline and having the ability to be like, okay, I love lifting heavy weight, but I also love moving well. I love not being in pain. I love being able to perform in my sport. I love being able to move in any way I want to. So it's like I have to understand periodization. I have to understand phases of training. I have to understand where there's give and take. I have to understand all those little things in order for everything to fit.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to do just a very easy assessment of yourself and see where you stand when it comes to what we're talking about, just are you in pain? If you're in pain, changes need to be made.
Right.
Simple as that.
It's very simple.
Simple as that. And I guarantee you, people that are going to be watching our podcast right off the rip, like people who know who we are and that are in that community that we're in, I guarantee you a lot of them are in pain.
And a
And
big part of it is just lack of knowledge.
it's exactly what it is the lack of knowledge. And there's no excuse. There's no excuse to be in pain from a non-contact injury.
100%.
No excuse. I mean, if you get in a car wreck or, thinking of some chances where like, because not everybody's playing a sport, like car wreck or you like, I don't know, you fall like off a high something, right? Like, and we talked about this, like there's no such thing as injury prevention in that aspect. But if you're getting hurt from your training, that's a problem, man. That's a problem.
And you know who's a great example of this? David, man. David, he went in there and he wasn't expecting any of the stuff that he learned. He wasn't expecting any of the stuff that he
Yeah,
learned.
because he went there for Landmine University, right? So,
He went there for Landmine University, got introduced to Goda,
yep.
started working on some stuff for his back, was like, man, my back feels amazing.
Hmm.
And it's like now you see him. I've been watching his videos as of late. You see that foot position, you
Yep.
see those little things, and it's like, oh, I never even realized this about myself. And I actually went through a traumatic injury
Hmm.
and I've been working on this stuff to fix it. But wait a second, there's other aspects that I have to focus on as well.
Right.
Let me get into it.
Is your function, because our whole community is functional training. Is your functional training really functional? Just because it's not bodybuilding doesn't mean it's functional.
100%. And I think, I mean, I've been in this for quite a while, focusing on the little things like the gait patterning and all that. So it's crazy to see when I look at all of the people in our community, and it's like all of their feet are so wide apart. All of their feet are like
Every ankle is
externally
collapsed.
rotated. Everybody's ankle is collapsing when they're lifting,
Everybody.
and it's like, dude, like this is knowledge is out there. Instagram is free. Instagram is free. YouTube is free. How are you saying that you were a coach? How are you saying that you're a fitness influencer? You're not even taking the time to learn this stuff. You're not even taking the time to yeah, like to me, it's just providing a disservice to everybody around you. And like I'm sorry, like I'm very big on imposter syndrome. I'm
If you
very big on it.
if you give it enough time, yourself and your clients are all going to be injured following the route that you're following.
And it's not, and like this isn't to like talk bad on anybody in specific. It's just talking to the whole community as a like to talking to the community as a whole because
Yeah, listen, don't
like
be fooled, man. I'm in pain right now because I've been going down this route. But I have the my ego. I'm not going to let my ego get in the way. You see what I mean? Because I'm stronger than the only person I know that is in this community that's stronger than me. I know two people that are stronger than me, Tom and Keanu. Those are the only two people in this like community that we're in that are stronger than me. But I don't care. I don't care. I'm not going to keep pushing the envelope when I can make a change and optimize my, my optimize my health. You see what I mean?
yeah. And look, and when I look at myself, I mean, I'm not big on comparing. I'm not big on comparing myself to other people. I did get stuck in that for a little bit, especially when I first started the kettlebelling. I'm not the kettlebelling, but the social media. I've been posting consistently every single day for about 2, 3 months now. And you get stuck in a little bit of that ego. You get stuck in a little bit of that wanting to wanting to impress or wanting to look a little bit better or wanting to look stronger and all this. But it's just like the one thing I see about everybody's movement is it, and we've been talking about this. You and I have been having private conversations about who has good movement, who doesn't have good movement. And yes, there's going to be people who have never paid attention to it but know about it.
Well, I think
Or
after this
people that have
podcast,
never.
people are going to start to open their eyes, which is good because it needs to be out there, you know?
And yeah, and I mean, we talk about one person. I'm going to name drop Jared. Jared is an absolute freak because this guy took like I don't necessarily know his path from day one to now, but this guy was not using heavy weights until he got to on it. He was not using the heavy weights. He talks a lot about being clowned for doing all the silly stuff, for doing the rope flow, for doing the kettlebell flow. Like he talks about that stuff. He like I've seen his content. But if you look at his feet, you look
Great,
at his knees, you look at his hips,
great movement.
this guy is moving incredibly well while lifting heavy weights.
Hmm.
You look at Chris Chamberlain moving incredibly well while lifting heavier weight than a lot of people will ever lift in their life. You look at Judd Linehard. That guy is a freak of nature. This guy is 250 pounds, but moves like 160 pounder. You look at every goddamn Dre. That guy is awesome. That guy, he has great movement. He's a lifelong athlete. The guy played football, and
Stuff right now.
yeah, look him up because that guy's I'd say he's purely kettlebell.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, he does a lot of barbell work too, but he's mostly kettlebell.
Could you just
And
explain to people because like we're not trying to gatekeep any of this information, you know what I mean? So could you just explain to someone what they could be looking for or some changes that they could make specifically in their ankles and their feet when they're lifting
so
to
first things first, um I'm gonna definitely start putting out more educational content on my page. I'm just waiting for it to blow up a little bit more so that I can make sure that this education is reaching people, because I think there needs to be a level of intrigue before people want to learn from you. So the main thing is your foot position. You don't want to be on the outer edge of your foot. If you're looking at the feet, let's imagine that my hand is the foot. You have four toes on the inside, and then you have your big toe. Now, the big toe is where the arch is. If you allow your foot to go in this way, you are collapsing your arch. Now, what happens with that? You're sending all your pressure from your ankle up to your knee, and you're becoming front chain dominant. Front chain dominant means you are dominating through the front side of your body, leading to back pain, leading to knee pain. Now, when we lift up the ankle by putting our pressure onto the outer four toes, then you become back chain dominant. That means that you are lifting up your arch, creating an arch within the foot, and you are putting your pressure into your glutes and your hamstrings, which are the drivers of movement. The hamstring and the glute is where you want your pressure to be going when you're walking, when you're lifting, and especially when you're sprinting. So when I say that somebody is moving wrong, it's purely from the standpoint of a posture and foot positioning. Because if someone has their foot position wrong, everything starts from the foot. Everything starts from the foot. And I've tried my best with working with people, working on myself to not pay that much attention to the feet, because it's like, oh, you can't be that meticulous, you can't do this, whatever. But if you don't pay attention to your feet, you are going to be in pain.
right. Well, I was just about to say like that's where I'm at right now. You were there. That's what got you into this. You know, I don't know if we've ever said on the podcast before, but you said you tore your ACL and then that sent you down this rabbit hole.
Tore my rotator cuff.
Go look at this guy's Instagram and see what he does and tell me if you think he has an ACL tear.
I mean, look, it's
You have no
just
idea. And
you see where I'm at.
now that I have pain, I'm going down and I'm learning everything I can to learn about it. If you're in pain, you need to learn this stuff. And if you're not in pain and you go look at some of your videos and you see exactly what Andrew was just talking about, your pain is coming, injury is coming, and it's up to you to make the change. And if you're training clients,
It's a responsibility at
it's
that
a
point.
responsibility. It's a mandate.
And like, and the main thing is that yes, this is going to take away from some of the weight you're lifting, because it is very hard to do a squat when your feet are facing forward and you're trying to create that corkscrew effect within the feet. It is very hard. But did you start out lifting those weights? No, you didn't. It's a little reset in order to be better in the long run. And everybody who knows about progress knows that there is a starting point.
Mm-hmm.
Why, you're not too young, you're not too old to restart.
Right.
And it's not even a restart, because Brett is still going to be lifting heavy weights. Just because he changes his foot position a little bit doesn't mean his weight is just going to go all the way down. He's not going to all of a sudden lose all of his strength. That's not at all what's going to happen. He's just gonna have to be thinking about certain things. So maybe the weight will go down a little bit in the beginning. Maybe instead of doing 100 kgs, he's gonna be doing the 48 kg, the 44 kg, which is still some heavy weight. But he's gonna be thinking about other things so that the movement quality is great.
Well, and let's not be fooled with this either, right? I got into kettlebell sandbag mace club landmine lifting because of fighting, because I'm a fighter. And I was like, wow, like I know that being strong is important, and this is it translates best to fighting for absolute strength. Okay. But in the meantime, when I'm not training for a fight, I enjoy the style of lifting so much that I'm trying to get so strong. And it's not optimized for joint health, for just movement efficiency, and it's gonna get you hurt, man. It's gonna get you hurt. I forgot why I
Well,
was going all the way with
wait,
that.
I'm gonna stop you right there.
I
It's
forgot
not
why. What's that?
it's can't I'm gonna stop you right there. It can be very beneficial if you have the certain things in line.
Yeah, well, I think where I was going with that is maybe like the mindset behind it is like like if you're doing something because you think it's gonna make you healthier and feel better, you know, you need to make sure that that's happening and not just do it. You know, if you want to do it just to do it, you know, hey, I mean, more power to you. You know, if you want to be a power lifter in this unconventional style of training, I mean, listen, I mean, go ahead, but just know what comes with it. But if you're trying to
And look,
optimize your movement for sport or for life, you know, just make sure you're doing those type of things right.
I view our style of training as very barbaric. It's very
Yeah.
ferocious, it's very violent. But how does one win a battle? The violence doesn't win the battle. It's the smart guy who wins the battle, right? So it's how can you translate this barbaric nature and make it smart? It's just by working on the little details. And I get it. I get it. There's so many people that just don't care about those little details. And that's okay. That's okay. It's just when you're in pain, we're explaining why.
Right. Right. 100%. 100%.
And so the next,
Well, yeah,
like,
I was going to say,
I'll
I was going to lead
transition.
it because we're probably going to keep repeating the same things if we keep going down this. And like, even like when I was just speaking, I was like, I've said these things and I'm starting to kind of lose my train of thought because I've already repeated myself so many times. But
Right.
I want to talk about some of the specific like speakers at the Outside the Box conference.
So
Uh,
first person, we're gonna go in line in order.
let's just list everyone that was there.
Mhm. We had Chris Chamberlain, Director of Education of WEC Method. This guy is an absolute phenom, a freak. We had David Weck, the creator of WEC Method. This guy is also a freak, but mentally and
Right.
educationally.
Biomechanical expert.
We had an ATG expert, the knees over toes guy. He followed his program. I forget his name. It was Zach. Zach. I'm gonna pull it up right now, and then continue going on. Who was there, Brett?
Yeah,
I'm gonna find this guy's
we had
name.
Brian Kula. Kula Sports Performance, I think, is his brand. Works with Christian McCaffrey, works with lots of big names.
So
Tony Holler,
Woodward,
Zach Woodward. Yeah, smart guy. Very smart guy.
very smart guy. ACL injury recovery specialist,
Yep. We had Tony Holler, Feed the Cats, sprint coach. Great dude. Knows his stuff
creator
as
of
well.
fast football. He was the creator of bringing the idea of speed into football instead of thinking about brute strength and endurance.
And then of course you had Z Treads. What's his what is his name? I mean he didn't speak, but he was hosting the whole event. Uberzadi,
Uh, I followed
Uberzadi.
his. I think it's Dan. No, it
He's gonna
is.
pull that up, but the person who blew me and Andrew away both, and who we're probably gonna talk about, blew us both away, and the person we're gonna talk about probably the most here is Brian McGinty. Brian McGinty from Power Plus. You've probably seen his stuff because it goes, some of it goes viral. And he
Timothy Stockton. Timothy Stockton.
Timothy Stockton. Now that's not the guy who was on the podcast, the live podcast. That's not who it was, but that's the guy that is creating the Z Treads. The
And
younger guys,
we
the
forgot to
younger guy with
mention,
the brown hair, the like head coach or owner or whatever he is. His name is not Timothy Stockton. Um,
no, his
but you
name
can,
was
if you want to follow these people, just go to Uberzadi on Instagram. That's who we're talking about. We're talking about Uberzadi. But Brian McGinty, Power Plus, Marinovich, Minty, whose whole plan, whose whole training philosophy, whose whole system is a plyometric based system with emphasis on the nervous system. It is the most amazing system for elite athletes I've ever seen, and for anyone else who wants to just train their nervous system to be fast and train their body to be efficient. It was incredible, incredible what they do.
that stuff is it blew me away. I
Blew me
mean,
away.
look, I've been seeing it on Instagram for a few
And
years now, but seeing it in person, oof.
that's what you're gonna be seeing me on Instagram doing. I haven't posted all week because all I've been doing is studying and learning and applying with my clients and myself before I start to, get back to my normal posting and whatnot. But that's what I'm adopting. That's who I'm learning from now.
And you forgot to mention one name that also blew us away, which is Bam Leinhart.
Yeah.
Bam Leinhart and the
Yeah, go to
Primal
him.
Movement,
Well, he's got his, yeah, primal movement.
Primal Movement slash Goda, because
Right.
they're all proteges of Goda,
Right.
and they broke into their own practice, which they call Primal Movement. They are specialized in the 22.5 degree angle, which is the thing that I was talking about earlier with the feet. Feet, ankle, knee, hip, posture alignment through movement. And so these guys are real cool as well, which I'm not sure if Brett is going to be talking about this as much, but our new focus on training, or at least my new focus on training in the next coming months is going to be Power Plus and Goda.
Right. Yeah,
And
I agree 100%. Yeah, that's what we've been talking about.
and the sole reason behind that is I love weightlifting. I love all of this stuff. I've been an absolute nerd about it for so many years now. And the thing is, I never dove deep into the Goda. I never dove deep into the Power Plus. It was just a little addition, little
Mhm.
sprinkles that I would put into my training.
And
I
one thing, yeah, you have to understand that the drills are not the system. The drills are not the system. You can take these drills, but if you don't understand the system, it's not going to work. You have to understand the
Mhm.
whole system. Like if you look at Power Plus and he's doing his footwork drills and he's doing his side to side jumping and whatever else you may see, that's not going to make the difference. It's understanding the 0.15 and it's understanding the emphasis on the neurological system. But Andrew,
Yeah, you were on the money. You're on the money with that. Like, I've been applying this stuff, but I haven't diving deep into it. So I decided to one, take a financial commitment, and two, take um a physical commitment into learning this stuff completely. Because again, we're both young. We're in our 20s. We're not competing for a weightlifting competition. Both of us are athletes in our sport. And these two specific methods combined,
yeah,
in my opinion, make the ultimate athlete.
right. 100%. 100%. I can tell you right now, if your whole focus is absolute strength, it's not going to make you a better athlete if that's your only focus.
And it's not enough what you do on the field. It's not enough. It's not enough because there's only so much you can focus on when you're on the field. And in my field, for example, in swimming, I cannot focus on those things. I'm in the water. I'm in a completely different element. You know how little control you have over your environment when you're in an element that is not natural to you? Very little. Brett cannot be thinking about these things in a fight. The second he starts thinking is when he loses.
And to build off of that, because not only is it about not having to think, which if you're an elite athlete, you're like in my last in any of my fights, I was never sitting there thinking about like, oh, I gotta block and then I gotta no, it's second nature. But how can we make that go to a whole other level? How can we take that and turn it up a notch? That not thinking, just that natural flow state is by developing the nervous system, getting your brain to work faster. And especially in the
Getting
fight
the
game, I
body.
see it. A lot of these fight camps, mine included, but I'm about to make a big change over there. They train, you're training to be a 60, 70, 80% athlete. You're training to be slow. Why are we doing why are we only training one energy system? Why are we only doing 3 minute work, 1 minute rest? And then your body is adapting to that, and you slowly that slowly just goes down and down and down. You're getting used to that same exact modality, that same exact feeling in your brain, and your brain is accustomed to it. There's no new stimulus, there's no level up. Your brain is just used to it. You have to stimulate your brain to be able to fire fast. And what do fighters need to do? What does every athlete need to do? We need to be able to react quick. And if you're training yourself to react slow, and that's the same concept behind the whole weight training thing. It's like we're lifting these heavy, slow weights. It's like, how strong do you need to be? You don't really, I mean, being strong is important. Yes, like if you're stronger than your person, that's going to be a good benefit. But how are you strong? Are you strong in the right ways? You see, are you structurally aligned? And and is your brain operating at 100%? Majority of them is no.
That's where I'd say like the landmine university system works extremely well because
Right.
you can notice the difference between someone who's strong and someone who's fast.
Right. Well, and another thing too is that Landmine University is forwards. It's a forward intent, a movement with forward intent. Whereas like a deadlift, you're literally coming back and shifting the weight backward.
You're becoming front chain dominant in that moment.
Right. Right. Whereas Landmine University, you could take that and I mean the movement itself is already going forward. You see. So
Yeah, so I mean like a big thing is like there's guys who can lift very heavy weight with the landmine, but then you look at someone like I'm just gonna compare both of our techniques really quick. You look at my technique versus Brett's technique with the landmine. I'm not lifting anywhere near as much weight as he is. But when you look at my technique versus his technique, I'm very poppy. I'm popping up. I'm popping up and then I'm like throwing that weight up and it's my feet are staying super close
yeah, I was
together.
gonna say, you could talk about the ankle position, right? Because if your goal is like how mine has been, just to lift the most ridiculous amount of weight possible, then the structural integrity just goes out the window.
And yes and no, because again, like you've built yourself up into the point where like you're strong in that position clearly, but it's taken a toll.
Right.
But it's taken a toll. So it's and that's not to say that again, maybe Brett might not have ever gotten any type of knee pain if he didn't push the weights as far as he has. But then again, it's safe to say that he could have developed this pain 2, 3 years down the road, and
hmm
it's because the walking pattern was creating compression.
hmm And I'm fine to be used as an example as well, by the way, because I already know this and I'm making the changes. You see what I mean?
And like again, none of this is to like talk down on anybody, like especially like when we talk about the fitness community, our community, the kettlebell community, we're not talking down on anybody. We hope we hope to educate. We hope
Right.
to bring awareness. Like that's our whole goal. Like that's what Power Talks is about, is opening people's minds to different ways of thinking, different ways of training.
Yep. Yeah, and I love going into the sports performance aspect just because like, you know, for a while it's like opening someone's mind up to get out of bodybuilding and start like doing like more kettlebell type movement. But now for these guys, the focus changes, man, because I love training fighters. And if I'm gonna build the best fighter possible, we're gonna have to implement exactly what we were talking about. A beautiful combination of Power Plus and of Goda primal movement. I believe that's gonna facilitate the best growth of an athlete.
And the most beautiful part is because we are so knowledgeable in so many different areas, once we deep dive into this stuff,
Hmm.
we're going to be creating our own versions of this.
Right. I mean, I already
And
am. I already am.
and yeah, both of us are. Both of us
Yeah, we
are,
already
and
exactly. We both already are.
we both are. And the thing is, we
Let me say
we
something real
have
quick because now I really don't care how it comes across to certain people because at the end of the day, you're either going to hear what we're saying and you're going to relate to it and then you're going to go on your own road and learn, or you're just going to, you know, I don't know, hate. I'm not building when we're talking about releasing something, at least for me specifically, this is for athletes. I'm not building something that's just a general fitness program that you can go and do a couple times a week to be healthy. No, this is a systematic approach. This is a blueprint. This is a certification. This is something that is a lot of knowledge and a lot of study going into it so that you can be the best, for me, what I'm building, fighter that you can be. This isn't a just a workout program. This is a blueprint, a template, a certification that requires study, research, and blending all these different styles into the best form of training that you're going to find.
and in my case, this is 8 years, 8 years of research, 8 years of research that are
Right.
coming together. And I'm in no rush. I'm in no
Right.
rush because time and time again, I have bought programs. I have spent so much ridiculous amounts of money on different programs, different influencers programs. And just because someone has followers doesn't mean they know a damn thing.
Oh, right.
There's only one influencers program that I've bought where I truly said, this guy is the truth.
Mm,
And that is Judd Leinhard.
mm,
Because this guy, say what you will, say what you will about the weights he's lifting, the style of lifting, everything he does relates to gait. And he's building muscle while doing it. This guy has found a way to make bodybuilding relate to gait. And it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful because I think, in my opinion, there's not one bodybuilder out there who who is doing this stuff. And this guy, I wouldn't say he's a bodybuilder, even though he competed in bodybuilding at one point of his life. He was a football player. He was a Marine, or no, he was an Army Ranger. He was an Army Ranger, and this guy moves so freaking beautifully that it is just like, I know I sound like I'm idolizing, but that's because I'm a movement nerd. I'm a movement nerd, and when I see something that looks good, I have to deep dive into it. And I've he's the only program that I followed more than one day. I followed it for like 2, 3 months, followed it for 2, 3 months, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I was making slight adjustments to it to my for my preferences. But that's the only influencer program that genuinely um piqued my interest and genuinely made me think that all hope is not lost. Now, Brett's going to be taking a quick break, so I'm going to talk a little bit about I'm going to talk a little bit about what the difference is between all these different types of movements. There's no one implement that is better than the other. The kettlebell is just as important as the barbell. The barbell is just as important as the dumbbell. The cable machine is just as important as all of them. It's just a means of use. It's a means of implementation. How can I use this to fit my needs? How can I use this in order to move better? How can I use this without compromise? In my world, in my experience, the kettlebell has been the best tool for me. Why? Because I don't have to wait for anybody at the gym. I don't have to be, I can create so much with the kettlebell. I can move around in different ways with the kettlebell. The kettlebell allowed me to start having fun with exercise again. The dumbbell can be great as well. It's just a means of use, it's a means of implementation. The barbell can be great as well, but there are limitations with the barbell that you don't see with the dumbbell or that you don't see with the kettlebell. The cable machine is amazing. I've been using the cable machine every single day. Sorry. The cable machine is amazing. It's just creativity that allows you to make all these tools work. So the main thing that I see with the kettlebell community is there's a lack of creativity in their movement. Everybody is doing the same complexes, everybody is doing the same two or three exercises. I'm going to grab the kettlebell, and today's complex is going to be two thrusters, two squats, two lunges, and then I'm going to do snatches. Okay, but how can we maybe let's take away some of those movements and then put a cable machine in there. Let's add a different type of resistance. Maybe let's get some barbell work in there. If you're working out from home, how can you expand your movement capacity with the kettlebells?
How about we
Every
sprint?
single tool. Yeah, every single one of these tools matter. Every single one of these tools can create. It's just we can't limit ourselves to specific things. And we can't just limit ourselves to weights either. Brett is a massive example because both of us, him included, both him and I, this guy's lifting crazy amounts of weight, but he was cramping when he was doing the hinges, the go to hinges. I was cramping. I thought my calf was gonna explode. And I've been doing those every single day, by the way, and I still get the same effect. I put one of the girls I work with through it, and she was damn near crying by the end of it.
Yeah.
So it's just like
You
wait.
have to mix it up, man. You have to mix it up. And I was telling you about this too. Like I don't post about my Muay Thai training, but and I think that's why I mean I haven't I think that's why my movement is at least the injury has been prolonged because like these past few months I've been really focused on lifting heavy weight, right? But I still consistently hit the bag, spar, run. And so that's why but a lot of these people on there it's only what you're doing. It's only what you just said. It's like today we're gonna do three cleans, three thrusters, three snatches. All the while the ankles collapsed, everything's out of line.
And look, I get it. If you only have that at your house and you're only working out at home,
You can run.
you can run, you can jump, you can
Yeah.
do plyometrics, you
Right.
can do
And then if we
you can
start getting into
do
that, because I know we were talking about Power Plus, then you could start recording yourself on the plyometrics. And are you even really doing plyometrics? Are you in the 0.15 or are you just jumping? You see what I mean?
right.
So,
And that's another thing that's important is being able to look at your video and analyze it, not just post it.
and for what we're talking about here, 0.15, that's the system, that's the Marinovich, that's the plyometric system created by put into a book by Verkhoshansky.
So do you want to explain that
Point.
real quick, or do you want me
Yeah,
to
I'll
explain?
explain it. So if you're doing plyometrics, and this is like a telltale sign too, like if somebody's like, here's a plyometric workout, and then they're doing box jumps or like repeat jumps, but their whole foot is going like this and then coming up off the ground. Not to say that you can't do that in 0.15 seconds, but probably not going to happen. It's not plyometrics. The speed, the timing is not there. So you have 0.15. You could video yourself on your feet. 0.15 to land and get up off the ground. That's plyometric, and you could do repeat jumps. 0.15, 0.15, 0.15.
And
To
that's the
develop that
eccentric portion. That's the eccentric. That's
from
how long
ground,
it
that's
takes
your
you to
ground
run.
contact time.
Right.
That's your ground contact time. You have 0.15, so 0.15 tenths of 1 second to jump.
To optimize it, to gain the most strength from that eccentric portion to get up.
Yeah, and
That's
so and you can build that, right? So you can build that. You could drop. First of all, you're going to just be doing pogos. You're just going to be jumping in place, 0.15 till you build up that strength. Then you could start to do repeats, off of a box. You could actually add weight to that. Um, so that's the 0.15 system, and that's how Brian has his guys getting strong. They're doing 0.15 loaded exercises, like off the super cat machine, and I was doing it with the lever arm, with my fighters the other day. Um, so yeah, that's a system that I forgot how we got here. I lost my train of thought, but that's the true
Talking
plyometric
about like
system.
we're talking about the training modalities and variants.
Oh yeah, I was just getting into the specifics of that. But yeah, you can jump. You see what I mean? So
And so, I mean, obviously, not everybody needs to be in the 0.15 range,
right,
and to be in
right.
the 0.15 range is not easy. It's
No.
not easy. I mean, Brett and I are very. I'd consider us to be one step below elite. We both of us are one step below elite when it comes to athletics, and these are the things that are going to make us elite. These are the things that are going to allow us to train to become elite, because nobody is. Some people are born elite. Some people are born elite, and that's not a question.
Well, let's
But
just I kind of want to stop you there though, because if you look at some of these elite athletes, uh, they're really only considered elite because of where they're at. You know what I mean? But their movement is not elite.
well, I mean, when I consider someone an elite athlete, I'd consider every part. Like the movement is elite, everything
Yeah.
is elite. Like for example,
Well, because I was
Saquon
just thinking about
Barkley.
how like Brian was saying, like these dudes will come to him and like they can't they can't jump in 0.15. Everything is like just wrong. Their brain is slow, like they can't react to the drills, but they're in the NFL.
Right, but then that's not an elite
Okay,
athlete.
cool.
So an elite athlete is a very that's like a 0.15%, 0.15% of the population of this world.
Another way to use that 0.15 metric.
Yeah. If we're talking about a true elite athlete,
Got it. Yeah.
we're talking like maybe 1 to 2 people in each sport.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
if we're gonna talk about swimming, I'm gonna name drop 2 people that are elite. Or I'm actually gonna name drop 4 people. We've got Jordan Crooks. This guy, you should look at his training, Brett, because that would help you. Jordan Crooks. You've got Caleb Dressel. You've got Leon Marchand, and you've got
What about Michael Phelps, man?
yeah, but Michael Phelps was a completely different animal.
I don't know
So
about. I don't keep up with swimming, to be honest.
so Michael Phelps is retired, a long time retired, but the reason he was elite is because he was so great at so many different things. That's like what Michael Phelps was great at was imagine you take a running back, make him be quarterback, make him be wide receiver, and also make him play defense while being top 10 in all of those. But the thing is, Michael Phelps was number one in being quarterback, running back, wide receiver, defensive end,
Hmm.
and and cornerback. He was number one in the world in all of those. Now we take somebody like Caleb Dressel. This guy is the king of sprints. He revolutionized the sport. What he did was he took plyometric training and made it essential. He made it essential in weights. I mean, essential in swimming because this guy showed us, he showed the swimming community that if you are elite in the start and you are elite in the mechanics of the swimming and you just work on pure quality, you're going to be better than everybody else. Because this guy, his technique was flawless. His underwaters, best in the world. And what he did was he would start a race and he would be so far ahead of everybody that there was no catching up. He would be like 0.65 of a second ahead of everybody just off the start. Just off the start. And then you've got guys who came up under him, which are Jordan Crooks. This guy, he took Caleb Dressel's training and he took that underwater swimming and he made it better. You take Leon Marchand. This guy, he did the same thing. He took that underwater swimming and he made it perfect. Leon Marchand is more Michael Phelps than Caleb Dressel, but you're getting the point. And then you could speak to it on fighting. You could speak to it on football. You could speak to it on basketball. It's one person. It takes one person, one little thing, for a lot of people to start becoming aware of something. And while in our industry, it's David Weck, who is that one person who really made a lot of people aware of one thing, which is locomotion and efficient locomotion, because David Weck taught the GOAT to people. I don't know if you know that, but GOATA doesn't exist without David Weck. David Weck is specifically responsible for GOATA.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, David Weck is specifically responsible for GOATA, and Tony Holler also. Him and David Weck are extremely similar. I asked both of them face to face what their differences are, and there's no difference. There's no difference in the way that they teach. There's no difference in their ideologies. It's just two different people saying the same thing. The only one that's a little bit different is Kula and McIntyre. And that would be Kula Performance and Power Plus. Those are revolutionary. Well,
McGinty.
I want to say McGinty, yeah. It's not it's revolution. Kula is less revolutionary because it's more like, okay, we're gonna add all of this, but we're gonna keep weightlifting in there.
Well, what Brian has going on is it's like a dying breed because it's the Marinovich training system, and I don't know anyone else out there that's doing that training. He's like the only one, and I've already said I'm gonna fully dive into his training because it's what I see that these fighters need. And I'm in the gym with fighters every day, and I manage some of their trainings. And the fight training of today at most camps, like most camps you go to are like the same. Like they run their training the same way. It's outdated, it's too slow. And it's just I don't know, man. It's just wrong. Like something isn't right because that's what they've done for years. Like long, slow runs, long, hour, 2, 3 hour sparring sessions, doing things for mental toughness, for conditioning. But what are you really conditioning? You're conditioning slowness. You're conditioning throwing your strikes at 50%. Like if you look at a if you look at a training session, like here's an example of a training session that I would say is not a good training session, and it's a very common training session that you'll see at these camps. We're gonna go, first thing we're gonna do, 5 mile run. Then we're gonna come back, we're gonna do sparring drills for 30, 45 minutes for like 10 plus rounds. Okay. Then we're gonna spar. We're gonna spar for the same amount of time. Then after sparring, we're gonna go do who even knows how long. We're gonna do 1,000 repeat kicks, like repeat teeps, repeat knees, 100 power kicks on each side. And it's like by the time you're doing all that stuff, like at the end or even after the run for that sake, your body is slowed down. You're not training fight speed. And the whole point of the 0.15 system or the emphasis on the nervous system training is to get used to firing at game speed. We train at the speed of fight or faster. We train at the game speed or faster. And another thing that these camps are doing is they're training hard in quotes because you're not training hard. You're only training at 80% and you're gassing yourself out day after day after day after day. There's no high low CNS split. They're just trying to train high every day. And they're not even differentiating. There's no periodization at all. There's no development. There's no development of alactic power. There's no development of any alactic system. Any fight camp, they're doing straight lactic work. Everything is 3 minutes on, 1 minute rest. And you're just trying to survive. And you're training at 60, 70%. You're never developing your true potential.
That's
And
the same
so
as swimming.
yeah,
That's the same.
and they were hammering it down at the conference for track because a lot of these studies that are out that we're basing our information is all coming from track principles. And if you look at the development of track athletes or like the development of the training over the years, before all these studies were coming out, what were they doing? Like more is better. Like if you want to get faster, run more. So we're just going to do repeat 400s or whatever. We're going to go warm up by jogging around the track a mile. And it's like you're training your nervous system and you're training your body to fire at less than game speed. And it's like, why are we doing all this running when we're going to run for, 10 seconds if you're elite? And same thing for fighters. Like, why are we sparring for over an hour when you're going to fight for 6 minutes? It makes no sense. Or if you're in the UFC, 15 minutes if it's whatever the time is, right? But for amateur Muay Thai, it's a 6 minute bout. And it's just,
So
it
that's the
makes no
main thing
sense.
that we learned from last weekend is that being fast and being efficient at being fast creates the endurance to be able to go fast, to be able to go
Right.
longer.
We develop aerobic qualities through anaerobic training.
Hmm.
So,
And the thing is, the more efficient you can be, the less energy you have to output when you're going in that speed.
and what really blew me away is because I've already known all this stuff and I've already been, first of all, I train people, I train athletes, but I've been working on building this blueprint, this system based off of, you know, based off a lot of things of knowledge that I have, but what I see missing is the development of alactic qualities in fighting. And uh where was I going with that? Oh, but learning the 0.15, the power plus system, the plyometric system with emphasis on the nervous system that's the weight room component and even the fight training component, right? Because you don't really want to separate them because they should all be building to this one goal. Your skill training and your preparation are together. But we have to get our nervous system to fire fast. We have to be doing 100% drills, like, and that's what kind of blew me away and kind of frustrated me about all the financial investment that I put into the equipment that I have. Is like it doesn't require all that weight. Um, but yeah. Anyways, what was I? Well, I keep going on these rants. My mind is so like cluttered from from everything from this past weekend and everything that I've been doing since the weekend. But yeah, man, these fighters need to develop alactic qualities. They need to be training fast and explosively and not slow and repetitively because you're training bad qualities. You're training your body. You're training to get into the ring and be and slow and steady state instead of fast and explosive.
And that's what's gonna make you a better athlete. That's what's gonna make you a better athlete. Fast is better. And I've known this stuff for a while too, but I think this weekend really reignited the ego death because I I too know, even though I knew this stuff, even though I had been implementing this stuff, you get caught in the social media whirlwind. You get caught in the I can lift this weight. Let me see how much higher I can go. Let me see what else I can do. And while I've never lost the mobility, I've never lost the integrity of my movement, it's it did take a toll on my body. So Brett, I know I talked to Brett about this, but I was having some crazy neck pain and some crazy back pain. And it's purely because I was pushing my body in ways that didn't need to be pushed. The idea
Yeah.
of the CNS is so real. It is
Yeah.
so real. And it's
And your CNS can only handle so much. I don't care who you are, your CNS can only handle so much. So
and
like,
there's so many people who talk about push past it. Yeah, your brain can push past it.
but it's
But that
that's the whole thing. And that's like we've talked to some people that are like that, and I see that day in and day out at the gym, at the fight gym. You're training to be a 75% athlete. You're overtraining. You're training too much, and the work that you're putting in, it's low quality work. It's low quality work. It's 3 minutes on, 1 minute off, repeat, keep going, push pass, do 1,000 kicks when you're done. Do it again the next day. Do it again the next day. Do it again the next day.
and look, I'm gonna put a little example from Belfast because I don't know everybody, I don't know anybody else's methods except for mine. I don't know anybody else's specific day in, day out except for mine. But how does it make sense that all these guys that are training heavy every single day, we're struggling with 248 kg bells, and I pop in there and look, I really hope this doesn't come off in a cocky way, but I went into there, grabbed those 248 kg bells, perfect technique, perfect foot position, and getting them up efficiently, not moving around, not struggling up when I'm up here. And I'm not touching those weights every day. I've never even touched those weights. I never touched those weights until that day. But it's a simple fact that it's like the more efficient you can be, the more speed you can create, the more anatomical efficiency you can create biomechanically sound, you can do those weights. You can be very strong. You will be strong. That's the whole thing that we hope people don't let slip through the cracks. Just because you work on the technicalities of things, you're not going to get weak. You're not going to lose any strength. You're probably going to gain more efficient strength. You're going to gain more awareness of the body. You're going to know how to move the body better. And we were talking about this yesterday. There's no weight in the world that will place the amount of stress on your nervous system that a sprint would.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and then we are also talking about how if in your brain you're thinking that you're, I don't know, 700 pound deadlift, or your 500 pound whatever is going to make you faster. It's not the same qualities. It may make you a little bit faster, right? But it's not the same quality. So you have to get out there. You have to sprint. Um, because there's nothing like it. You can't compare it to anything else.
And again, like everybody wants to be strong. Everybody wants to be lifting heavy
If
weight.
if if
Everybody
if if being super strong made you super fast, like let's just say you're not doing any sprint speed training, right? You're just doing power. You're just trying to get strong. If that was the case, power lifters would be the Olympic gold medalists in every 100 there ever was, the 100-meter sprint. Why aren't power lifters running the 100? It's not the same qualities.
it's not at all. And I think that it's a beautiful thing that we are who we are. And what I mean by that is that both of us have exhibited pretty extraordinary strength feats. You a lot more than me, but both of us have exhibited that we're strong. There's a very small percentage of people in this world that can lift the weights that we're lifting. And I'm gonna put it in the example of my lifting is I'm throwing 100 pounds, catching it, and then throwing it to to the floor while I'm bending my back, throwing it above my head again, flipping it, and doing this stuff. Now that's not lightweight. Like that's really not lightweight. So it's like you can work on all these qualities, you can do all these things and still be very fast, still be very flexible, still be very structurally sound. It's just a means of taking the time to periodize your training. Periodize your training and understanding where each thing fits because there's a place for everything. There's a place for every single thing. And the more you're able to I had a great conversation with Chris about this actually, where he in his training, there's that structure of the four to one,
Hmm.
but every day is different. Every day is different. The implements are going to be different. His focus is going to be different. Like he told me that he went 4 months focusing on his back bends and then didn't touch them again. And he was like, right now, it would probably take me some time to get into a back bend.
Right.
But that's because I'm in a different focus on my training. And I was like, that's beautiful, man. I was like, that's beautiful because you know what I mean? This guy's performing extraordinary strength feats and he's not doing them all the time, but he's able to work out in a way where the strength feats are different each
Mm.
phase.
Yeah.
They're different each phase, but it's still absolute strength while
Yeah.
being fast, while being coordinated, while being structurally sound, while
And
being so biomechanically intelligent.
right. And if you can, and to put that in the example of a fighter, it's like if you could train your alactic power, which is just short burst, if you would just take the time to spend 2 weeks on doing, like a 10 to 20 second all out burst with a 20 second or a 2 minute rest and just do that repeat, repeat, repeat alactically. Imagine how much more explosive your lactic qualities would be, which is all that you guys train right now. That long drawn out 3 minute round, 1 minute rest, that lactic buildup, it would significantly improve. Um, so you just have to periodize, I guess, like you said, in a smart way, and just try to become the most efficient mover or athlete that you can be. I think we're gonna wrap up here probably because we've been going for a long time.
Yeah,
But
it's
there's
damn, we've
a
been going on for close to 2 hours.
there's a quote that I really like, and like it fits well with where I'm at right now, dude. If you see my computer, bro, I have Goda pulled up, I have Power Plus pulled up, I have WEC Method pulled up, and then in my books I have like I've just been flipping like just reading all through anatomy trains, human locomotion, James Smith book, multiple books, sprint books on sprint training. But because I'm just so like inspired, but also overwhelmed at the same time mentally. But the saying is, I think it's an Albert Einstein quote. He's like, if the sign of a cluttered desk is a cluttered mind, what then is an empty desk a sign of?
Empty mind.
An empty mind, exactly. So there's a lot of empty minds out there that are just so locked into the system they've always done. And I think it's time
And
to
bro, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing that you're switching up because it's just going to create a better athlete. It's just going to create you're going to create a system that is different, man. It's different because
right.
you took the time. You took the time to be like maybe. You took the time to question. You took the time to say maybe. And that's where everything came from, bro. Every single development in this world came from a maybe.
Yeah. And I just want to be very clear here. Like my methods of training people has not necessarily, I mean, the the principles have not necessarily shifted that much, right? Because I mean, once you read a certain select few books and understand a select few principles of training, you're kind of set to develop athletes, right? But the methods that I've learned over the weekend, the 0.15 system, the emphasis on the neurological system, that's a method. Um, the GOTA stuff, like that's a method that should be incorporated into your system. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna study it. I'm gonna learn it and apply it.
Same with me, man. Same with me. I'm at a point where I'm excited. I'm at a
Yeah,
point where I'm very
same.
excited, and while most of this stuff it's not as I can't say it's as overwhelming for me because it's definitely it was very overwhelming when I first got into this stuff, especially thinking about my foot position while walking. That was the most overwhelming thing, where it took me about 2 years of having psychological freakouts while I'm walking because that's all I'm thinking about.
Bro, I'm telling you.
Like it's very overwhelming on the brain, very overwhelming because you go your whole way walking a certain time where you're not even thinking about walking, and all of a sudden you're thinking about walking, and
Well,
it's
and
just
if you have the luxury to only focus on like the GOTA stuff, then it's not really overwhelming. But if at the same time you're trying to, develop an elite athlete, it can be overwhelming because there's so much stuff. I always say James Smith book is like one of the most revolutionary books that's out there. I think it's one of the best books for training people that's out. Just the principles that are there. But I don't know. Let's just say real quick. I mean, if I was to recommend a couple of books for a trainer to develop an elite athlete, I would probably go because this is kind of what I base my training systems off of is James Smith, Governing Dynamics Coaching, and all of those use Verkhoshansky stuff, right? But I think you have to include the science and practice of strength training. And
you ready for this one?
yeah,
I'm
let's hear
going
it.
to I'm going to bring it right now. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that. All of these, anything new that's coming out, they use Verkhoshansky's principles, whether it's 0.15 Power Plus system or James Smith or whatever it is. They all use Verkhoshansky's methods
So
or principles for that matter.
these two books were created, or what created WEC method. And I think, my personal opinion, and I think this is developing into your opinion as well, is that a structured body can be a powerful body. So, book number one, Rolfing. Rolfing, reestablishing the natural alignment and structural integration of the body for vitality and well being. Book number two, Awareness through Movement. Moshe
Feldenkrais.
Feldenkrais.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, right there, these two books, while it might not directly lead to being an elite athlete, I think that everybody, elite athlete, general population, everybody needs to have an awareness of their movement, needs to have, if you don't have good posture, man, you're just asking for something along the line to happen. You're asking for, you're asking for a, an acute injury. You're asking for chronic pain. And chronic pain is the biggest mental debilitator that exists. The biggest. And for an athlete to be elite, mentally, they have to be strong. And if you are thinking about your pain, if you are bothered by your pain, look, man, I've gone through times where I couldn't sleep for weeks at a time because I was in so much pain, where I couldn't find a position that felt good on my back, where I would go from sleeping on the floor. I would just lay down on my yoga mat because it felt better than being in my bed. And if that recovery is a number one thing when it comes to performance, you have to pay attention to your posture. You have to pay attention to your mechanics. You have to pay attention to the way you're reacting with movement. So, yes, those books are important. I'd also add in Triphasic Training by Cal Dietz. That one's an amazing book as well. Everything has a merit. Everything has merits. You can look at the conjugate method, you can look at all of this.
It's all
But
based
I
on
believe,
Burkashowski stuff for the most part.
yeah, and so but and I think my personal opinion that it starts with the posture, it starts with the alignment,
Yeah,
and everything
it's
else
really hard to
follows.
say like I guess because there's different books for different reasons. Like there's the two you just mentioned, there's the two I mentioned. There's like all the movement ones, like what is it, Born to Run, Move Your DNA, all that kind of stuff.
And now this is if there's a deficiency.
There's like
That's where I'm gonna say that.
yeah,
This
there's
is
like
if there's a
there's
deficiency.
anatomy trains, the books like that. So you just have to be a complete you just have to commit to studying, man, which is what we talked about for the whole first like hour or whatever, first 30 minutes. Um yeah, man, I think this is a good episode. I know I was a little cluttered, but
And we both were. We both were because we're both going through a phase where we're understanding and we're learning and we're breaking down the ego once again, breaking
yeah.
down the ego in order to progress. And so it's a
It's
transitional
really
phase.
hard too to formulate your own. It's really hard to formulate like I guess you could call it an opinion or a principle or a method when like so many things contradict. So many people contradict. Everything contradicts. Like even at the conference, these like elite level guys, like you look at like Power Plus and then you look at like Kula. Those are two very different training methodologies there. And they don't agree, but they both produce elite athletes.
And
They
what's
agree on certain
beautiful,
things, you know what I mean? But not
like
every
what was beautiful in the end of the day is that even though they don't fully agree, they were in the same room and they were conversing.
yeah,
And I loved the fact that even though everybody wants to be the leading expert and everybody is the leading expert, quote unquote, none of them were throwing shots at each other and everybody was just putting out their view.
right. Because you can learn something from everybody, man.
And that's the beauty of this whole thing. Like I always look back to bodybuilding principles and I look back to because I think I am a firm believer that even though you want to develop those fast qualities, you want to develop that nervous system, your body has to move slow at some point in order to gain that recognition of proper movement and
Yeah.
have that ability to feel everything because you can't feel much when you're going that fast. So it's being able to have a combination of fast, slow, hypertrophy, combination of full range of motion, ATG, a combination of speed work, combination of drills, combination of nervous system training. And that's where it becomes so tough. That's where it becomes
You don't
extremely
even know.
hard.
I have so many just pages on pages on pages of notes, like whether it's on the computer or in like notebooks. And I'm putting something big together of just all the information, all the trial and error that I've went through, because it's been a lot. It's
But
been, I know you're
that's what
like,
makes things better, bro. That's what makes things better.
and I know you're working on a lot too over there. We were talking about that.
Yeah, man. It's
No
exciting.
rush. No
It's
rush.
exciting, bro. It's exciting because in the end of the day, bro, we're here to flip the industry on its head.
You
And
know,
that's the
one
conversation we had
one
with
thing I
Weck.
think to end on too is like what Brian Kula was talking, yeah, Kula was talking about because I was asking him for book recommendations, and I think he was talking about Barry Ross. I could be wrong. He could be talking about somebody else, but he was like, after every like year, I forget the time frame, but he's like, every year, this guy would say he released a book or put out an article or put out something, he wouldn't even
Deeds.
be following that the
Cal
next
Deeds.
year. Was it Cal Dietz he was talking about? He's like, he
Yeah.
wouldn't even be following that the next year. It's like, dude, like this stuff is still good. So yeah, it's still good, but there's new there's new
So
things.
he was talking about how that guy is so smart that
Yeah,
every 3 months he's discovering something else, and then he would invalidate his old work because,
right. That's like how
yeah,
I feel. That's like what I'm doing to myself right now. It's like, and it's not that the old stuff is bad. It's just that, there's new stuff that needs to be applied.
that's a sign of a genius, man. Like I'm gonna put that out there. That's the sign of a genius, and it's not to blow you up or anything, but it's just to be the smartest people know how to admit, know how to switch things in an instant to test out if something is better. And look, and like again, you don't know something is better until you fully figured it out. You
Right.
don't know if something is invalid unless you fully go into something else. So it's like it's the beauty of science. Every single thing is valid. Everything is valid until it's proven invalid.
Thank you for watching this episode of Power Talk Podcast. It's been a good one.
It's been a good one. Brett, where can we find you on the grams of Insta?
Brett Thiem. Brettthiem. I'm probably going to change that name eventually, right? Because no, or maybe not. Who knows? But as of right now, it's Brett Thiem. There's three T's.
Brett's aligned. Had Brett's aligned.
Brett's aligned.
Aligned, yeah.
Why?
Once you become fully perfect biomechanically, you just switch your username to Brett's aligned.
I'm just gonna change it to I'm just gonna change it to Goda. I'll just be Goda.
Brett's Goda.
I'll just take over their whole brand.
Yeah, and then for me, you can find me at D David Weck. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
um,
I'm gonna make like an ultra long username. Like I wonder how long you can make the username. I'll just make it everything.
you just make it Weck method. Goda Power Plus.
Yeah.
No, my username is Andrew's Not Fit. And I told Brett before, I am the troll of the fitness industry. I am looking to take over that title. Um, I am looking to take over that title from Clifton. Um, if you hear this, Cliff, you heard it here.
Listen.
All righty, y'all. Thank you, everybody, for listening. If you made it to this point, and
And your brain doesn't hurt as bad as mine, then you have to watch it again.
yeah, let's get some repeats on this one. All righty, y'all.
My brain hurts. Peace.
Peace.